On the edge of San Francisco, where cypress trees meet the Pacific, stands the San Francisco VA Medical Center, a place of healing for veterans. To walk its halls today is to step into a sanctuary of medicine and recovery. But if you look beneath the surface, the story changes. Long before it became a hospital, Fort Miley was a military outpost built to protect the city. Deep underground, concrete bunkers and sealed passageways remained silent, relics from a time when defense and secrecy dominated this coastline. These forgotten spaces, once armed with heavy guns and hidden behind layers of concrete, tell a story of war, fear, and preparation for battles that never came. That's the strange truth about this place. Above ground, a hospital dedicated to restoring life. Below ground, a fortress built to withstand destruction. Together, they create one of the most striking contrasts in San Francisco's history. So how did this windswept bluff transform from a fortress of war into a sanctuary of healing? And what secrets still lie locked beneath the VA hospital's grounds? But before we start, I'm on the road to reach 1,000 subscribers as a small channel. If you'd like to help me get there, please hit that subscribe button. It means the world to me. Before it became home to one of the largest VA hospitals on the West Coast, the land at Fort Miley had already lived many lives. Its story begins in the mid-1800s, when San Francisco was booming with gold rush wealth and sudden growth. The city, perched on a vulnerable coastline, needed to protect itself. The Army recognized the strategic importance of the bluff at Point Lobos, with its sweeping views of the Pacific entrance to the Golden Gate. From this perch, any incoming ship could be spotted long before it reached the bay. In those early days, the Army set up a semaphore signal station, essentially a communication outpost to relay messages about approaching ships. This marked the beginning of the area's military role. Later, in the late 1800s, the federal government formally established it as a military reservation known as the Reservation at Point Lobos. By the turn of the century, the reservation was renamed Fort Miley in honor of Lieutenant Colonel John D. Miley, a decorated officer who had served in the Philippines during the Spanish-American War. The name gave the post not just a place on the map, but also a connection to America's broader military history. Fort Miley was designed as part of a larger coastal defense system, one of many forts encircling the Golden Gate. Its mission was straightforward: protect San Francisco from possible naval threats. Batteries and gun emplacements were constructed, concrete bunkers poured, and the land reshaped for defense. For decades, soldiers were stationed there, keeping a watchful eye on the Pacific horizon. What began as a simple signal station had become a fortress, part of a national network of strongholds meant to guard America's western edge. But change was coming, and soon this windswept fort would be transformed from a post of defense into a place of healing. By the early 20th century, the role of Fort Miley as a military stronghold was beginning to fade. Advances in naval technology and changes in military strategy made many of its coastal defenses outdated. At the same time, America faced a growing need to care for the men who had served in uniform. The nation's veterans were returning home from World War I in great numbers, and the government was under pressure to provide hospitals and long-term medical support. In 1931, the Veterans Administration designated Fort Miley as the site of a new hospital for veterans. Construction began soon after, with the goal of transforming the windswept bluff from a place of defense into a center of recovery. Just 3 years later, in 1934, the San Francisco Veterans Hospital officially opened its doors. The opening was a major event for the region. The hospital was built with modern facilities and cost roughly $1.6 million, a considerable investment at the time. It offered around 500 beds and became the first VA hospital on the West Coast to operate as a diagnostic center. More than 300 staff members worked there, providing not only basic care but also advanced medical treatment for conditions that were poorly understood in the early 20th century, such as shell shock, what we now call PTSD. The placement of the hospital was symbolic as well as practical. San Francisco was a major hub for the military, with easy access to returning servicemen from the Pacific. Locating the hospital on the former grounds of Fort Miley tied the act of healing directly to a place once dedicated to war. What was once a reservation for soldiers has now become a refuge for veterans seeking medical help, rehabilitation, and hope. From its very beginning, the San Francisco VA Medical Center represented the changing face of America's relationship with its veterans. No longer was this bluff only about watching the horizon for enemies. It became about looking inward, tending to those who had already served and sacrificed. The peace that settled over Fort Miley in the 1930s was short-lived. On December 7, 1941, the attack on Pearl Harbor thrust the United States into World War II and changed the fate of the San Francisco Veterans Hospital almost overnight. Within days, the hospital was evacuated. Patients were transferred elsewhere, and the site once again became part of the nation's defense system. Fort Miley's coastal batteries, which had been quiet for years, were reactivated. Massive guns were positioned to protect the Golden Gate from a feared Japanese invasion. Soldiers were stationed across the reservation, living and working among the hospital buildings that only recently had been filled with patients. Suddenly, the land's dual identity, healing above, defense below, was brought into sharp conflict. During this time, many of the underground bunkers and tunnels at Fort Miley were reinforced or expanded. Some were designed as ammunition storage, others as command posts or observation points. These concrete chambers, buried beneath the ground and camouflaged into the landscape, were intentionally hidden from view. Locals began to whisper about secret passages running under the bluffs, connecting batteries and lookout points. Though much of this was practical military engineering, the air of mystery never went away. By 1946, after the war ended, Fort Miley's batteries were decommissioned. The threat of naval invasion had passed, and the guns fell silent once again. But the scars of that wartime reactivation remained: sealed tunnels, abandoned bunkers, and reinforced shelters that the public was forbidden to enter. For the hospital, this period was both disruptive and symbolic. While its medical mission was temporarily displaced, its return to service after the war underscored the transformation of Fort Miley's role. Where soldiers once prepared to defend the coastline, veterans now came seeking care. Yet just steps away, the sealed doors of military bunkers served as constant reminders of the fort's more dangerous past. Even today, visitors walking through the grounds of the VA might pass by overgrown concrete structures, their entrances sealed with heavy steel. To most, they are just odd relics. But to those who know the history, they represent a time when fear of attack overshadowed healing, and when the land itself seemed caught between two identities. Long after the guns at Fort Miley fell silent, the underground world beneath the San Francisco VA continued to stir curiosity. While the hospital above became a hub of medicine and rehabilitation, the bunkers and tunnels below slipped into obscurity. For the public, they were off limits. For decades, their entrances were welded shut or buried, yet their existence was never entirely forgotten. In the late 20th century, stories of these forbidden spaces spread among urban explorers, people drawn to abandoned places and hidden parts of the city. The concrete bunkers of Fort Miley were especially tempting. Some entrances were hidden by brush, others by the shifting sands near the cliffs. For those adventurous enough to sneak inside before the areas were sealed, the tunnels told their own story. Dusty corridors, graffiti on walls, and long-forgotten rooms once used for storing ammunition or sheltering soldiers. The curiosity wasn't limited to thrill seekers. In 2009, the History Channel aired an episode that offered a rare glimpse into San Francisco's hidden military past. It highlighted a network of bunkers and tunnels, some connected to Fort Miley, that stretched under the city. The broadcast sparked public interest and even local unease. Soon after, many of the accessible entrances were permanently closed, a reminder of how dangerous and unstable these underground spaces had become. The fascination with San Francisco's underground city continues to this day. Articles, photo essays, and social media posts occasionally circulate images of these sealed bunkers. They've become part of local legend, woven into the city's culture of mystery. Were there secret passageways beneath the VA hospital itself? Could some of those tunnels still run deeper than people realize? These unanswered questions keep the intrigue alive. What makes this dual identity so striking is the contrast. Above ground, a world of light and recovery. Below ground, a shadow city built for war, sealed away but never forgotten. The bunkers may no longer serve their original purpose, but their presence lingers. They are silent reminders that San Francisco, like many cities, has layers of history hidden just beneath the surface. And while the VA continues to treat thousands of veterans each year, those who walk the grounds can't help but wonder what lies just out of reach behind the concrete and steel that keeps the past buried. The hospital heals in the open air above, but the sealed tunnels below still whisper of another time. The question is, will these hidden chambers ever reveal their secrets, or will Fort Miley's underground world remain locked away forever? Fort Miley today is more than just a location. It is a symbol. Few places capture the contrast between war and peace as vividly as this windswept bluff on San Francisco's edge. Above ground, the VA Medical Center stands as a beacon of care and compassion, treating veterans with state-of-the-art medicine and human dignity. Yet just below, hidden in the soil and concrete, remain the silent traces of bunkers and batteries built for destruction. This dual identity creates a striking image: one landscape, two opposing purposes. It's almost poetic that a site once prepared for invasion is now devoted to recovery. Where soldiers once braced for battle, patients now find comfort and healing. The physical transformation mirrors a deeper national journey, America's evolution from building fortresses of war to building systems of care for those who fought. The contrast also sparks reflection about memory. The sealed tunnels and abandoned bunkers remind us of the fear and uncertainty of a world at war. The hospital rising above them shows what came after: resilience, healing, and hope. For the veterans who walk its grounds, the symbolism is personal. They know better than most that war leaves marks above and below the surface, both visible and hidden. Standing here, you feel that tension. The cypress trees bend in the ocean wind, brushing against the modern hospital. Just a short walk away, moss creeps over old military concrete. It's a reminder that history is layered and that places, like people, carry more than one story at a time. And yet one question lingers. Does the land itself still hold untold stories that connect these two worlds? The story of Fort Miley is not just about a place, it's about transformation. On the cliffs above the Pacific, where the San Francisco VA Medical Center now stands, two legacies live side by side. One belongs to the past, a fortress of bunkers, tunnels, and coastal defenses built in secrecy to protect a nation bracing for war. The other belongs to the present, a hospital that heals thousands of veterans each year, carrying forward a mission of care and compassion. This dual identity is what makes Fort Miley so unique. The contrast between healing above and hidden bunkers below is more than just geography. It is a reminder of how history shifts, how spaces evolve, and how meaning changes over time. A land once armed against enemies is now dedicated to repairing the wounds of those who served. For those who walk the grounds today, it's hard not to feel the weight of that history. The VA's modern buildings rise above, while just steps away, sealed concrete doors hint at another world locked beneath the soil. And so the question remains, will Fort Miley always keep its secrets underground, or will the past someday resurface to meet the present? Fort Miley reminds us that history isn't just in books, it's beneath our feet, in the places we pass by and in the stories we share. If this story spoke to you, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe you or someone in your family has a connection to this land or served during those years. Please share your memories in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and join us to explore more hidden histories.